Broadcast Center in Los Angeles. This is KCAL9 News at 4.
Bill Cosby, 3 words for you. Guilty, guilty, guilty.
Now at 4, legendary entertainer Bill Cosby guilty on all 3 counts of sexual assault. His accusers overjoyed and overwhelmed. Cosby himself lashed out in court. Bill Cosby was convicted today of drugging and molesting a woman at his home back in 2004.
The verdict continues the downfall of the now disgraced comic legend, once nicknamed America's Dad. We have team coverage of today's ruling. KCAL9's Amy Johnson standing by with local reaction. But first, KCAL9's Sandra Mitchell is in the newsroom with the story of the verdict. Sandy?
Yeah, Juan, you're right. This is a huge downfall for the TV icon. Well, today, Bill Cosby is a convicted felon. He's going to have to register as a sex offender. After 14 hours of deliberations, the jury found him guilty on all 3 counts. Some of Bill Cosby's accusers left the courtroom in tears after the jury found him guilty of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault.
I'm so weak with emotion right now and with gratitude that I can barely stand.
We are vindicated, we are validated, and we are now part of the tsunami of women's power and justice.
After the verdict, Cosby shouted in the courtroom. He called the district attorney an a-hole. The DA said Cosby was a flight risk.
He used his celebrity, he used his wealth, he used his network of supporters to help him conceal his crimes.
Cosby's defense attorney says they will appeal.
We don't think Mr. Cosby is guilty of anything, and the fight is not over.
During the trial, accuser Andrea Constant testified that Cosby drugged her and molested her at his mansion near Philadelphia in 2004. The jury also heard from 5 other women, including former model Janice Dickinson. They also testified that Cosby drugged and assaulted them. Cosby had insisted that his relationship with Constant was consensual. The district attorney praised Constant, called her brave.
She showed courage. She stepped up. She went forward, and we got to the right result.
When she left the courtroom today, Andrea Constant was smiling, but she hasn't commented on the verdict. Cosby now faces up to 10 years in prison on each of the 3 convictions. So this afternoon, he is free. He's out on $1 million bail, but the judge told Bill Cosby not to leave his home in Pennsylvania. He's going to be fitted with an electronic monitoring device. And Lena, so far, no date set for his sentencing. All right, Sandra, thank you. In the wake of the #MeToo movement, reaction to today's guilty verdict has been fast and furious. KCAL9's Amy Johnson continues our live team coverage from the Miracle Mile. Amy.
Well, Lena, although the first Bill Cosby trial ended in a mistrial, people I spoke with today say they weren't surprised that this jury found him guilty, and it didn't take them long.
Her victory is our victory.
Brenda Gutierrez organized the LA Me Too rally and march and reacted to the Bill Cosby guilty verdict.
Just hearing that verdict, I'm sure felt like justice to a lot of other women that have not been able to come forward or that their statute of limitations expired.
She, like so many others, wonder how much the Me Too movement played a role in Cosby's guilty verdict.
Me Too brought was like, it took off like the veil off of our eyes. Like now we see that this happened more than it should. Like it happens to a lot of women, if not all women, in one way or another. So I think this was more of a, hey, this is happening. We can't not talk about it anymore.
Although it's impossible to say if the movement helped lead to a conviction, the verdict is creating change.
Sooner or later, there will be consequences for all of these allegations. And so I don't think it comes as a huge surprise to the community that we got the guilty verdict today.
Rebecca's son is a senior reporter with The Hollywood Reporter.
I think that the verdict could be a very, very sobering reality for anybody who has similar skeletons in their closet, because this was a man who, it wasn't just that he was successful, but he was lionized, he was revered, he was beloved.
She says many of Cosby's supporters were silenced today.
There aren't a lot of vocal defenders, which does show you that the sentiment and the sensibility, at least publicly, is that this is something we won't stand for anymore. I don't care how much I loved you when I was a kid or when I was younger. If you did this, you deserve to pay the consequences.
Sun also told us that she won't be surprised if more of the allegations here in Hollywood end up in courtrooms. Gutierrez says she just hopes that this all leads to more conversation and people really understand what consent really is. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Amy, thanks so much for that. Prosecutors have revealed they used ancestry search websites to help catch the man they say is the infamous Golden State Killer. Joseph DeAngelo is expected to make his first court appearance tomorrow. DeAngelo is being held without bail at the county jail. This morning, investigators were still searching the Citrus Heights home he shared with his daughter and granddaughter. The sheriff's department expects to get more search warrants in the coming days to look at the grocery distribution center where DeAngelo worked for nearly 3 decades. His arrest brought relief to the victims and their families.
I hope I can stand up and tell him that he didn't destroy my life. And like many others who survived him, went on to have a good life.
The 72-year-old DeAngelo is accused of killing 12 people and raping at least 50 women from Sacramento to Irvine. But we're also learning the accused serial killer was once a Long Beach resident. He lived in this 3-bedroom house on Hackett Avenue in the 1980s. For the past 23 years, Dave Clements and his family lived there.
Yes, I was very surprised to hear that. I haven't talked to my son yet, but my wife thought it was kind of creepy.
Public records also showed DeAngelo once lived in Whittier.
President Trump spoke out about the Stormy Daniels case today, the same day his personal attorney was in court. Michael Cohen had a hearing on the FBI's raids at his home and office. Nikki Batiste has the latest on the case from New York.
President Trump's personal lawyer Michael Cohen left a hearing in Manhattan Thursday after a judge appointed a special master in the case. Former Judge Barbara Jones will decide who gets to view documents seized by the FBI in raids of Cohen's home and office earlier this month. The lawyer for Stormy Daniels, who is suing Cohen, applauded the move.
We think that she is nothing short of an exceptional choice.
Cohen is being investigated for possible bank and tax fraud. Some of the evidence seized involves Cohen's payment of $130,000 to Daniels, the adult film actress who claims she had sex with Mr. Trump in 2006. On Thursday's Fox and Friends, the president tried to distance himself from Cohen's legal problems.
He's really a businessman. I don't know his business, but this doesn't have to do with me.
Asked how much legal work Mr. Cohen did for him, the president said it was a small percentage.
A tiny, tiny little fraction. But Michael would represent me and represent me on some things. He represents me like with this crazy Stormy Daniels deal.
The special master will determine which evidence is shielded by attorney-client privilege. The prosecutors argued that the president's own comments on morning television showed that few materials seized are actually privileged. Nikki Batiste, New York.
The first step in protecting special counsel Robert Mueller from being fired cleared Capitol Hill this morning. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted to advance a bipartisan bill that sets up guidelines. Some senators wanted to water it down by introducing a non-binding bill that wouldn't be as strong. But one of the measure's authors argued protecting Mueller is crucial.
This should not be a politicized moment. This is not about one president in this point in time. Looking into the future, it is really important that should a president of the United States or their associates be under investigation by the special counsel, that there are reasonable checks and balances.
The measure now goes to the full Senate. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said he won't bring it to the floor.
White House Dr. Ronnie Jackson withdrew as the VA Secretary nominee this morning. President Trump had nominated Jackson, but he has since been plagued with controversy. There are allegations of professional misconduct, drinking problems, and irresponsible medication distribution. His confirmation hearings were delayed indefinitely earlier this week. President Trump today called Jackson a great man and said he was treated very, very unfairly.
The yeas are 57. The nays are 42. The nomination is confirmed.
And with that, CIA Director Mike Pompeo is the new Secretary of State. The Senate voted today to confirm his nomination. He is President Trump's second Secretary of State after Mr. Trump dismissed Rex Tillerson. And just a short time ago, the White House released these photos of Pompeo meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un recently. President Trump brought up releasing the photos during his conversation with Fox and Friends. Hours later, the pictures were made public. President Trump is expected to meet with the North Korean leader in the near future.
For people in distress, 911 may be their only lifeline. But what if 911 doesn't pick up? Or even worse, they do pick up, but they don't help you. KCAL9's Randy Page is in our newsroom now with a preview of his story about one local family who lived through the tragedy of being left waiting. Randy?
Lena, this is a heartbreaking story about a little girl who couldn't breathe. People around her called 911 over and over, calls that were transferred to the wrong place.
We used to love to laugh together.
A family full of girls, and this one, they all say, is still an inspiration.
She was a great person.
From the time she was a baby, 11-year-old Ashley Flores struggled with chronic asthma.
She would say, I don't want to die. I wish the asthma was gone.
But she always found a way to shine, even from her hospital bed.
You will always see Ashley with a smile. She had love for everyone.
And a special love for her little dog, Luna.
She adored her dog. She took that dog everywhere. She'd go riding, she'd have it in her backpack. She just loved that dog.
Ashley, Luna, and her youngest sister, Camilla, were, in a word,
inseparable.
But this past Christmas Eve, hearts were broken.
Fire department, I'm 81.
Okay, I called you guys like 5 minutes ago. The baby's not breathing. She's purple.
It's called A Family Left Waiting. I'll have that full story tonight on KCAL9 News at 10. See you then.
Randy, thanks so much for that. Still to come right here at 4, the tweets just keep on coming. Kanye West continues his tweet storm, this time posting a personal back and forth with the music legend.
Plus, we're less than an hour away from the NFL draft. Coming up, we're going to check in with sports director Jim Hill, who is live at a Chargers draft party.
And a new way to get to Dodgers Stadium is coming. How you'll be able to arrive by air. Stories coming up. Greg?
All right, a cool sea breeze blowing through, nice over Santa Monica. That sea breeze is going to be with us and give us the chance for scattered showers. I'll let you know when, coming up.
Okay, I called you guys like 5 minutes ago. The baby's not breathing.
A child dies waiting for medical help.
This is the first phone call we've got, okay?
No, I called you 2 times already.
Why were their previous 911 calls transferred, then unanswered?
I was the 4th caller that called.
A family left waiting. Tonight at 10 on KCAL9 News.